Hi, in this video we are going to discuss the role of national and international bodies in formulating legal framework for environment. This is a part of the foundation in environmental management for the Environmental Management Certificate of Nebosh. So in this video, basically we are going to cover the topics on the international laws like the conventions on the climate change, ozone depletion, transboundary movement of hazardous waste, marine protection, and more. So, the international environmental laws are in the form of either convention and its protocols. So, what are the conventions? So basically, these are the legally binding agreement between different states, often developed under the uh, auspices of the United Nations. And the protocols are basically the conventions are implemented through the subsidiary protocols. So basically, protocols details out the uh, conventions. So now we are going to see what are the conventions related to the climate change. So basically, the United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change is the convention governing the climate change. So this treaty came into force in 1994 with 195 parties to the convention, including European Union and United Kingdom, and is the foundation stone of the international effort to tackle the climate change. So this convention is implemented by the Kyoto Protocol, and the main objective of this convention was to reduce the emission of the six greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, sulfur hexafluoride, hydrofluorocarbon, and perfluorocarbon. So the first phase of this convention ran from 2008 to 2012, and it set the national emission target with 5% emission reduction compared to the 1990s level. And the Doha Amendment to the Kyoto Protocol was adopted in 2012 with the period from 2013 to 2020 with the target to reduce the greenhouse gases by at least 18% as compared to 1990s. So the Paris Agreement was developed at the Paris Climate Conference in December 2015. So the key aspects of the Paris Agreement was that the participants country has to review the climate plan regularly and ensure that the actions have been taken to deal with the climate change. The development of the aim of net zero emission by the end of the centuries, then a specific legal requirement to reduce emission on a 5-yearly basis from 2025. Developed and emerging economies must mobilize $100 billion per year from public and private funding to assist the poor countries in protecting themselves against the consequences of the climate change. And COP24, also known as Conference of the Parties, was held in December 2018 in Poland to adopt the series of decisions to ensure the implementation of Paris Agreement. So the next we are going to discuss the convention for, governing the ozone depletion. So basically, the Vienna Convention 1985 follows covers the ozone depletion. So the key aspects of this conventions are that it requires nation to take appropriate measure to protect people and environment against the impact resulting from human activities which may likely to modify the ozone layer. The main aim of the convention is to ensure that the countries undertake research, exchange information, and monitor the chlorofluorocarbon production. Banning and the phase out of the ozone depleting substances are present in the Montreal Protocol on the substance that deplete ozone layer 1987. So some of the highlights of the ozone depleting substances uh, target are like chlorofluorocarbons for the developed countries was to ban and phase out by the year 1995 and developing countries by 2010. Then hydrochlorofluorocarbon was targeted for the developed countries in 2020 and for developing countries by 2030. Halons for the developed countries in 1993 and developing countries by 2010. So now we are going to see the next convention uh, which control for the control of the transboundary movement of hazardous waste and its disposal. So the convention following it is the Basel Convention. So basically, the key aspects of the Basel Convention aims to prevent or control the transfer of the hazardous waste and certain type of plastic waste from developed country to the less developed countries. So it aims to control the international waste movement by requiring the exporters to obtain written consent from importing nations prior waste is being transported. So the convention places ban on export and import of the waste between party to the conventions as well as the non-party to it. So now the next uh, concern is the wetlands of the international importance. So the conventions following it is the Ramsar Convention. So basically, the key aspects of the Ramsar Conventions are that it was signed in Ramsar, Iran in 1971 and is intergovernmental treaty that provides framework for the national action and international cooperation for wise use of wetland and their resources. So the convention covers many type of wetlands like swamps, lakes, deltas, tidal flats, and mangroves. The aim of the convention are achieved through implementation of ecosystem approach within the context of the sustainability development. So the next topic is for the protection of the marine environment in Northeast Atlantic. So the convention following it is the OSPAR Convention 1992. So the key aspects are it has been ratified by 15 countries and European Union. It works by identifying threats to marine environment in Northeast Atlantic and its combat. The achievement since its introduction includes reduction in phosphorus and heavy metals, reduction in discharge from nuclear plants, ban on waste dumping. Now we are going to see the role of the European Union in harmonizing the environmental standards. So the key aspects are the significant role of the European Union is to break down economic and the commercial barriers between the member states. A member state is able to determine the subject, content, and the form of national legislation. A member state can set up its own legislation independent of European Union provided it doesn't contradict the European Union directives. This means setting up of higher standards. European Union sometimes enacts regulation which is binding on the European Union member states. So this is the role of the European Union for harmonizing the environmental standards. Now, our next topic is BAT and BPEO. So, what is BAT? BAT is the best available technique which applies to the industrial installation that requires an integrated pollution prevention and control permit to operate under the European Union directives on industrial emissions. So, in the context of BAT, the best means in relation to the techniques the most effective in achieving high level of environmental protection as a whole. The available techniques means those ones which are economically and technically viable, taking consideration of the cost and advantage. The technique means technology used and the way in which installation is designed, built, operated, and decommissioned. And BPEO, or the best practicable environmental option, is the concept similar to the BAT, and it aims to avoid situation where narrow thinking may lead to limit pollution in one medium and in contrary increases in the another medium. Therefore, the environment as a whole is considered. Now we are going to see the role of the enforcement agencies. So the enforcement agencies provide advice, it investigates environmental incidents, it takes formal enforcement action to force organizations to comply with the law, start criminal proceedings against person or organizations who are believed to have committed offense. So now what are the consequences of the non-compliance? So the non-compliance may lead to the prosecution of the organizations in criminal court and the prosecution of the persons like director, managers, or the workers of the organization.